Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Nature Patch. My name is Robyn and I am sitting outside today on a really nice afternoon, surrounded by a bunch of different things that I'm going to be talking about in this video, and that is how to apply the Hugelkultur method to pots. So if you've seen some of my other videos, I've referred to the Hugelkultur principle a little bit. It's a permaculture technique that's really designed to promote soil health and good bacteria and good microbes within the soil, and it's basically done usually on a larger scale with using bigger logs and bigger pieces of woody debris as a real base layer for your garden beds. So originally it was designed to have big old rotting logs at the very bottom of your garden bed, and then you'd create kind of a mound of different layers over that, and the wood at the bottom, or the larger pieces, would then be the material that feeds your plants in the end. It's also going to hold a lot more water over there, as when things rot down they start to act like a sponge and tend to hold water. So that's what that principle is all about, and it's something that I use in all of my raised garden beds, where I tend to do more of a lasagna layered effect, but always at the bottom I put bigger woody debris material, and that tends to hold the water a lot more. So you can pretty much use the same principle of the Hugelkultur method on a smaller scale in pots. One thing that I do find with pots is that they tend to dry out a lot, particularly if you're using like terracotta pots or even some just old pots that don't really have good drainage. So this is a technique that can help to retain some of that moisture in pots so you don't have to water it as much, and it's also going to be continually rotting down and creating nutrients for the roots. So these materials that aren't fully rotted down aren't on the top where you're sowing your seeds or planting your plants, they're at the very bottom. So then over time, as the roots kind of dig down and into that rotting material, they'll slowly be able to uptake that nutrients. So I've just got a small little pot here. It's a pot that you could use on your windowsill or something, and I'm going to be filling this up using the Hugelkultur principle. So around me I've got all of the things that I need for that, and this can be really specific to whatever you have in your kitchen, in your garden, whatever you can get your hands on. If you don't have a garden, if you just have a balcony, go down the street, pick up some leaves or pick up some material like this that you can use for free. So as I was saying before, your base layer is usually your woody stick material that's going to take a little bit longer to break down. Because we're doing this in a pot, we're going to be doing it in a much smaller scale. So I've just got some little sticks here that I'm going to use, and what I'm going to do is just break them up a little bit and put them in the bottom of the pot. So that's our first layer here. Next layer, I pretty much did a rummage through my food scraps to see what I had on hand, and we'd just eaten a pineapple. So what I did was I grabbed the pineapple top and I just took off each of the individual leaves. These are a bit more of a kind of woody, succulent material. They'll take less time to break down than the sticks below, but as we gradually get up to the top, that's where we're having our material that is most broken down, where all the roots of the plant will be. So I'm just going to put all of those on top of the sticks. Also got just some random paper towel that you can chuck in, and essentially you're creating a compost in place, which is one of my favorite things to do and to experiment with. You can also add some cardboard if you don't have enough material. Cardboard acts like the carbon material at the very bottom, the woody debris. So if you're short on materials, just rummage through your pantry and just have a look to see what you've got. So you can definitely just leave it at that. I'm going to go one step further and just add some coffee grinds on top, and that will kind of just provide a little bit more nitrogen to this mix and encourage it to break down a little bit more. So I'm just going to sprinkle that over there. One thing you want to note is definitely to have drainage holes at the bottom of your pot. That's just something that's good for whenever you're planting in pots. You want to make sure it doesn't start to just rot and become a rotten mess down below, or else your plants will not like that. I'm going to add some water now and just water all of that in. And then above that, then I'm going to be adding in my soil layer. So this is just not the best quality soil in the world. I tend to not waste my money on that. I like to create the nutrients in other ways by using things up from around the garden or the kitchen. And so on top of all of that, I'm going to be putting my soil. So this method is also good if you don't want to spend a bunch of money on soil. I know the money can really add up on how much soil you have to buy for gardening, but there are so many other ways to minimize that cost, and this is just one of them, particularly if you're doing it in pots. So that's what it's starting to look like now. That took about 3 handfuls of soil to start to cover it, but I am going to cover the rest now. Just make sure to give the pot a little bit of a tap down so you're leveling out that soil a bit more, because it will sink down a little bit. So that is pretty much all filled up. One thing you will want to know, again, even putting in this soil here, over time, because you've put materials down on the very bottom layer that aren't technically soil, they will start to break down over time and the whole bed will sink. So just take that into consideration. You might need to top it up here and there. But I'm probably not going to have to worry about that too much because I'm actually just going to plant this with cat grass. I have 2 cats and I'm sure they're going to absolutely love putting their faces into this cat grass and having a nibble. So I'm going to really thickly sow that on here and then water it in. So I pretty much use the whole bag for that. So I've sown all of those seeds. I'm just going to lightly cover it and then give it a good water. But that's pretty much it. That's how you use the Hugelkultur method or principle or technique, whatever you want to call it, in pots. I think it's a really great idea to save money on soil, retain the moisture in there, provide nutrients for whatever you're growing. And I'm a really big believer on using up waste and creating it into something that's actually productive, because we tend to throw away so many food scraps, so many different things. So this is just another little way on how you can reduce your waste, and definitely have a look to see what you're eating, whether you can recycle that in any way. I'm more than happy to answer any questions down below in the comments. So let me know if you have any questions about this method or even on a larger scale as well. Let me know if you've tried this technique out and if it works for you. I know there's a few people on YouTube that I watch that do some really cool Hugelkultur mounds, something that I'd really like to do in the future, but at the moment we're just keeping it at a little bit more of a smaller scale while we're in this rental house. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe for more like this, and until my next one, happy gardening guys. Bye.